All right, Jackson, Mississippi, and all surrounding areas, you have tuned in to the free-range human show of choice. Your daily dose of reality radio starts now. This is Clay Edwards. This, of course, is the Clay Edwards Show. We're live in the Generator Power Solutions studio, and I am joined, as always, on Tuesdays by my lovely friend, Miss Therese Apel with DarkhorsePressNow.com.
Hello, Jackson and surrounding areas.
Good morning, Therese.
I'm good.
Now we've got two more guests in the studio
we
today.
Sure do.
And we've been having them packed in here lately, hadn't we?
Yeah, we sure have. And I have to say, redhead solidarity going on over on this side here, because Ashely Jones is here with us, as is Jimmy Nichols.
Absolutely, man. Look, two redheads in one place. You don't get this too often.
I mean, it's lucky. This is definitely lucky.
Two of the most recognizable women in Mississippi in the same place at the same time.
Blush.
Right.
Do what?
I said, you're making me blush.
Hey, man, look, you were out there doing great things, and we're all so proud of you. And I want to back into it here in a little bit, but I've never actually got a chance to talk to you on air. Like, we've been friends on social media for as long as up until I got unceremoniously booted off. We've been friends on social media forever. You know, we hung out a time or two out, when we run across each other, but never really got to talk to you about how you ended up going from, you were a lawyer, correct?
No, my husband.
Your husband's lawyer, that's right.
Yeah.
But you went from, you always posted hunting pictures and videos and this, that, and the other, and next thing you know, hey, there's this girl from Mississippi on Swamp People. How cool is this,
Yeah, it still seems unreal, and it's been 4 years now, so.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on that. And
Yeah, thank you.
I know there's a lot of little girls that look up to you. A lot of kids, period. But,
yeah.
I mean, my daughter, she's 20, and she just started hunting last year. They killed, in a 12-month period over 2 seasons, killed 3 deer.
Nice.
And, and she's a huge Swamp People fan, so thank you.
Oh, cool.
It's been a good influence on them, too. So
Yeah, I have a lot of people reach out to me that makes me feel good.
Ain't no doubt about it. So y'all are here for a good cause, and we're going to get to that. But I want to revisit something with you first, Therese.
Sure.
This past weekend, I wasn't able to make it. I was in Talladega. The William Lindley benefit.
Absolutely, man. That went great. We had so many people that donated, really, really great auction prizes and door prizes and raffles and that kind of thing. For those of you that are not familiar with what we're talking about, William Lindley is a Rankin County interdiction deputy. Recently found out he had colon cancer and had about a foot of his colon removed. This guy, everyone says of him, like, well, he'd give you the shirt off his back. I can't tell you how true that is. Like, he's the most selfless person you will ever meet. And so you just saw how many people actually, if you're someone who gives and you feel like nobody ever notices, yes, they do. Because when we got to this benefit, it was already packed from the beginning and throughout. They had hoped to raise $20,000. That was kind of the, set a goal and hope you hit it. We raised $30,000. So all that money will go to help him with his medical expenses as this goes on. But man, it was amazing.
Tell you what, I wasn't going to take any calls today, but looks like we've got Sean McDaniels.
Oh, good.
On the phone. McDaniel, yeah. I'm going to quit adding that S to the end of your name, Sean. Hey, you're on there, brother.
Sean.
Hey, buddy. How are y'all doing this morning?
Good.
Good. Hey, I just wanted to call real quick and just say thank y'all. Thank you, Therese. Thank you, Clay, for helping out. It was a really good. I didn't want to interrupt y'all on your talking about it there, but I just want to call and say thank y'all.
Well, Sean, you're one of the ones who really made it happen, so you can definitely interrupt us.
No, thank you.
So, hey, we hate you missed it, Clay.
Yeah, look, I do too, and I'd have probably been better served not. So,
Well, I understand. We also had a good time as well. So
I may have done a little too much raising hell and praising Dale.
I hear you. Again, thanks a lot. And hey, we're probably going to start up another one here soon too for John Harris's family. So kind of got asked about that this weekend. So
well, we're here. Just let us know whatever we need to do, and we'll be the first in line.
All right, man. Thank y'all.
All right, brother. Thank you. Great job.
Thanks, Sean. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, so one of the participants this weekend, one of the people that helped pull it all together, ran around,
Sean
picked up all
was
the gifts.
Glue. He and Brian Barlow and Jason Anderson. I mean, Like generally when you think of organizing an event, you think of a bunch of women getting together because they're organized and they're persistent and that kind of thing. These guys, I tell you what, I've not seen anybody work this hard on something in a while. They did a great job.
Great job. Well, I'm gonna tell you what, Mr. Jimmy Nichols here. I get the pleasure of crossing paths with Jimmy a good bit, and when he gets fired up doing these raffles for this snake grabbing rodeo and this whole benefit that he does every year, you never seen a man work so hard. And we are so blessed to have that many people in our sphere of sphere of influence. Is that the popular word now? Sphere of influence.
Yes. Well, and I was even thinking about that the other day. How I feel like I'm in a place in my life where I'm surrounded by people who give, and I think that's amazing. Yeah,
no doubt. Look, I'm lucky to be alive. Just through all the years of shenanigans and nonsense I put myself through, self-inflicted, all of it. Mm-hmm. It's the least I can do. Is to try to give back and stuff when I can. When people ask me for help, because God knows one day it may be me and maybe my kid, that needs help, and I don't want to be the guy that wasn't helping.
Right.
When the time is when I may need it.
Right. Well, and when you've been in the first responder circles long enough, as a firefighter, and then being around law enforcement as much as I am. That's something that either you let the trauma and you let the horrible things that you see make you hard and cold and whatever, or you let it make you something different, somebody that wants to give, that recognizes the value of human life. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot in these circles, are the people that just said, this, I want to give. I want to be a part of something positive because everything I see is not.
Well, it feels like every time you turn on the news, it's the overall lack of value for human life everywhere.
Absolutely.
Whether it's through pro-choice or not, and all the murder going on in these big cities and this, that, and the other, it just seems like a lack of respect for human life. So when you have the opportunity to better that, you try to take it.
Absolutely.
I mean, hey, it's self-serving a little bit too, man. It's okay to feel good for doing good.
As a matter of fact, that's one of the best feelings there is. I mean, you can feel good for a lot of reasons, but when it's because you made somebody's day, I think that's the best good feeling. Yep.
And I've changed my tune a little bit too. If you do something good today and you put it on Facebook, I tell you what, I like that. I'm taking another stance at that 30,000 foot view. Outside of all the negativity, if you're going to do a good deed and you want to quote unquote brag about it, I don't care. I need some more positivity.
Yeah, I'd rather know that you gave $10 to the homeless guy on the corner than know that you went into such and such restaurant and you were so angry because the waitress forgot your mustard. I would so much rather hear that you were giving than that you were just griping.
Yep. All right. So with that said, let's talk to our guest here.
Absolutely.
Who wants to take this? Jimmy, you want to start and tell us about J.J. Bailey and what's going on and what's the nexus of this whole thing is?
Yeah, man. And look, thank you again for having us up here. And Therese does a great job with her press work, supporting law enforcement. Great turnout Saturday, like she said. One of the guys that Therese and I both know who was at the event the other day was involved in an incident this weekend. So he was there supporting another officer who was needing help, and thank God he's fine from this incident, but he'll need some support too. So
we talk about this a lot, just what law enforcement officers have to go through on a day-to-day basis as far as post-traumatic stress, PTSD type situations. And when they get home, they're in theory supposed to try to cut that off and leave that at the door. And I know that's got to be hard.
Well, I did it for 30 years, and it don't cut off.
No.
I mean, I don't know how to – you learn how to live with it. Yeah. Some do and some don't, but you have to learn how to cope with some of that stuff. And his situation, Monday morning, normal morning, everything's quiet. All of a sudden he's involved in a shooting. So, I mean, that's just kind of how that ball bounces. But back to the benefit we were talking about with J.J. Bailey. As you know, Grab Your One Outfitters has been together for several years now. We've been officially doing the snake grabbing rodeo at Lake Washington for 13 years. This will be the 13th. And we were able, we've talked about this before in here, but we were able to turn a TV show out of this snake grabbing rodeo and had some good things happen for us. Met a lot of great people along the way, Ashely being one of them, some other people who have stepped in and started helping. But this year we've targeted a young man from Brandon by the name of J.J. Bailey. J.J. was involved in a motor vehicle accident, which resulted in some traumatic brain injury problems with him. And we're raising money this year to try to help J.J.'s family with an everyday, day-to-day type expenses. You know, people say, well, you got insurance, you got this, you get this benefit, you get that benefit. But what a lot of people fail to figure into that equation is the everyday expenses. We know we can't touch the medical bills. I mean, they're astronomical. There's some other things that are, you know, quite frankly out of our reach. But what we do every year is try to raise money to help these people who we target, such as JJ this year, help them with that running around everyday money.
Quality of life stuff.
Well, you know, mom and dad are having to drive back and forth to hospitals. There's just all kinds of things I can sit here and make you a big checklist. So what we try to do is raise some money to help alleviate some of that everyday stress, just to kind of take that burden off of them. Because I know if I was in their situation, I'd probably be having to sell off everything I had just to keep my head above water, or because it now requires. In JJ's situation, and each situation is different, but in JJ's it requires 24-hour care. And so mom and dad both have had to basically not work and stay home to take care of JJ. Now, they're not complaining about that, so this is not a crying session here. They're actually dang good people to be doing what they're doing. Anybody you would think would, but my point is it's changed their lives 100%. Everything changed in just a vehicle turning over. So what we do is try to raise, again, money to help them with those everyday expenses.
Man, that's good stuff. So tell us, when is the event?
The actual snake grabbing rodeo is June the 4th at Lake Washington, up in Washington County. We're currently selling raffle tickets for some what we call them big ticket items, but we have a Creedmoor 6.5 given to us by Vans Deer Processing, which we're selling raffle tickets for, along with a Glock 43X from the Southern Connection, Brian Wheeler and his crew down in Ridgeland. We've got a jacket from Cole Hauser, Rip from Yellowstone.
No. This thing has been very popular online. I've seen the jacket. So
yeah, it's kind of I'm not gonna say it's a one of a kind, but it's not very many of them like it. It's a Yellowstone jacket, just like Rip wears on the show. He autographed inside the neck of the jacket, which we've since had framed, and it's got the pen that was used to sign it, along with pictures to authenticate him signing the jacket. Priceless in a sense, because I actually had an offer from a lady who owns an auction of about $10,000 for it, and she was going to turn around and auction it. But we had already put it in the raffle, and we're selling tickets, and it wouldn't have been right for me to, sell something people already buy tickets for. So it was tempting, I'll have to say, because that would have been $10,000 right there on the front end.
It's the number one show in America.
Oh yeah,
Yellowstone, number one show, and it has been for a few years now. And to have the opportunity for him to actually be down here filming a movie and to get the jackets and to be able to get it signed, it was just a lot of things had to line up for that to even happen. So that's really cool.
Well, things happen for a reason. I've always said that. I had a friend, Cole Hauser was filming for this new show you're talking about here in Mississippi with Morgan Freeman, and they did some filming at a friend of mine's home. And I reached out to him I said, hey, can you reach out to one of the Cole's handlers or whoever and see if you could get an opportunity to get a jacket to him, get signed? And he said, I don't know, man. I don't think I can make it happen. So just by chance, a few days later, I was talking with Sheriff Randy Tucker in Madison, and I said, hey, I'm sure you got somebody assigned to this Cole Hauser detail, security for him while he's here. He said, yeah, I got a guy working over there now. So Sheriff Tucker, when I told him what I wanted to do, to have a jacket signed to raffle off for J.J. Bailey, stepped in and said, I'll handle it. And that day got it signed.
Nice.
So, it was a good gesture on the sheriff's part.
Absolutely. All right, look, we're going to take a break real quick. I'm joined in the studio today by Therese Apel, Ashley Jones, and Jimmy Nichols, and we'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show right here on 103.9 WYAB.
America. You love your country, so it goes without saying that you also love your ride. And Auto Armour in Flowood wants to help you make that ride shine. Auto Armour in Flowood is Central Mississippi's premier automotive detail and ceramic coating shop, servicing any type of vehicle, including ATVs, boats, and more. Need just a quick detail or paint correction? Auto Armour can make it happen. But if you're set to hit the road in a blaze of glory while flying the old red, white, and blue, Auto Armour should be your first and last call to give your ride a full ceramic coating. Auto Armour is locally owned and operated by the loud and proud American patriot Clay Edwards. Auto Armour also proudly backs the blue, all military, and first responders. So don't forget to ask for your discount. Call 601-260-0858. 601-260-0858. Or stop in today, fellow Americans. Auto Armour is located at 4394 Mangum Drive in Flowood. Online at AutoArmourMS.com. Auto Armour, unapologetically American.
All right, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're live here in the Generator Power Solutions studio. This segment's going to be brought to you by Watkins Construction and Roofing. A roof repair can cause you a lot of stress. Choosing the right roofing company to repair your roof is going to be very important. Most contractors will try to convince you that replacement is the only way to go, and that, my friends, is not the Watkins way. They believe in an honest assessment that doesn't necessarily mean replacement. In most cases, all you need is a repair. So whether you got a leaky roof, you need chimney roof repair, flat roof repair, roof water leak, shingle roof repair, metal roof repair, chimney flashing repair, Watkins Construction Roofing is your go-to roof repair specialist. Give them a call today for a complimentary assessment at 601-966-8233 or check them out online at watkinsconstructioninc.com. All right, man, we've got a full complement of hosts here in the studio. To my left, I have Jimmy Nichols, Ashely Jones, and Ms. Therese Apel. Ashely, talk to us. How are you involved in this event? What you going to be doing?
I'm hopefully going to be able to have an all-girls team, but if I'm not able to gather enough girls for it, I'm in it to win it, so I don't want to go in there with anybody that I got to tell what to do step by step when we get out there. So I've been doing it this will be my third year. This will be my third year. And it's just a real fun event. We get out there, we have a concert at night, everybody has fun, and, I say in it to win it, but it's not, a real strict competition. It's a lot of fun. It's an adrenaline rush for sure if you've never grabbed a snake.
So paint a picture for us that don't know. You hear snake rodeo. I mean, what is a snake grabbing rodeo? How does this work?
Well, the first year I did it, it was real sunny, so the snakes were all sunning around on the cedar limbs, or cypress limbs, and you could just go by there and snatch them up. But last year it was raining, so they'd be swimming, and it's not anything I can even explain unless you're there and actually doing it, because I never thought in a million years I'd be just out there willingly grabbing snakes.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just grab a bunch of snakes. Whoever gets the most at the end of the day is the winner.
That's right.
I like it. Jimmy, is that something you came up with?
Kinda, but it's kind of like a bass tournament. She's dead on. What we do in the mornings, we have a safety brief and then split the teams up. Teams are pre-picked prior to the day of the event. And it's usually 5 to 6 teams, consisting of anywhere from 6 to 10 people. And we depart the pier around 10 o'clock. We go out just like a bass fishing tournament. The guys go out and catch, the guys and gals go out and catch snakes. They come back. We do a weigh-in, which is not really a weigh-in. It's a count. Team with the most snakes wins first place, obviously, and then second, third, have you. And we also give out prizes for the largest snake. And then all the snakes are actually taken right back to the lake and released as soon as we get through the count, just like a fishing tournament. And, Mississippi does have laws governing how many snakes you can possess and all that type of stuff. So we have to, we try to keep everything in check with the Mississippi Department of Wildlife and return the snakes to the lake as soon as we're through with the actual count, I guess you would say, or weigh-in, what we call it. But it's a pretty good event, and thank goodness for people like Ashely. And last year we had Ronnie Adams from Swamp People. We had Uncle Si from Duck Dynasty. We had Mike Cockrell from Moonshiners. We had Brad Cooney and John Bullard from The House in Between, which is currently the #1 streaming paranormal TV show in the country. We had Brian Easterlin from Forged in Fire. This year we've got a lot of the same lineup with a couple new additions. Ashely's jumped in again and got us a couple more guys from Swamp People will be here participating. LaRon and Pork Chop. For you that watch Swamp People, if you've seen LaRon Jones and Pork Chop, they'll be at the lake with us this year also. So it's continued to grow. And again, the primary thing here is raising money for these benefits. And, you know, having Ashely and some of these people come in from some of these very popular TV shows has helped grow it to where we're able to actually give enough that it makes a difference. I think every penny makes a difference, but, you know, it's a whole lot more significant today than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get somebody $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, whatever, I'm just picking round numbers here, as opposed to $1,000. Don't get me wrong, that's nice. It's a great gesture. But at the end of the day, that's kind of gas money.
Right.
You know, especially right now. But, you know, if you can get somebody a substantial amount, like what y'all raised Saturday, stuff like that, that's significant money that helps pay house notes, car bills, you know, ease that blow from not being able to work or whatever the case may be.
Well, bringing in, you know, again, people like Ashely and some of these people has put us in that position. We are on track for probably the same amount of money from that benefit as somewhere in that neighborhood right now. So, you know, it's moving along well, and I think that's back to what Therese talked about early, was Mississippi's a giving state. You know, we're not necessarily the richest state, but all the people here tend to chip in and help when somebody's down. And that's one of the reasons makes me proud to be a Mississippian. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah,
happy where I'm at.
Hospitality state.
No, I'm here. This is home. I mean, I often thought about wanting to maybe move to Florida or Nashville or some of these other places just to spread my wings a little bit, but those days are well past me. I'm very content and happy right here at home. So, let's see here. You're going to be down at the fairgrounds selling a raffle. Tell people about the raffle. I mean, where can they get tickets, all that good stuff?
All right. The easiest way to get the raffle tickets for the items I mentioned, which again is a 6.5 Creedmoor Glock 9mm, the Yellowstone jacket, and we have a bunch of door prizes. I mean, we got like 3 35-quart Yeti-style coolers. They're not necessarily Yetis. I don't remember the name brands on them.
Cabela.
Cabela's is one. K2 or K something, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Then Bass Pro Shop has given us 5 $50 gift cards. We've just got several door prize items. So the way it works, if you buy a raffle ticket, what we call a ticket, one sheet is $20. That gets you, though, 15 chances at the 3 main items and a door prize drawing. So you get 16 chances for a $20 ticket. If you buy 100, you get 75 and 5, you know. So, I mean, it's the more tickets you buy or the more sheets you buy, obviously the more chances you get. But for each ticket, you get 15 chances and a door prize drawing. They're $20 a ticket again, and the easiest way to get them, if you're interested in purchasing them, is going to PayPal and just go to the email address for the PayPal account is
MSSG
yeah,
benefit.
I'm sorry, mssgbenefit@gmail.com. Again, that's mssgbenefit@gmail.com.
I just had the benefit of having your Facebook page pulled up.
Thank you, Clay, for the save.
Yeah. What part of me's not left in Talladega got in front of me here. So, well, that's cool, man. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I had the pleasure, and what I called you about Sunday, I called Jimmy Sunday. He was in church. He's like, I'm doing a little bit of church for both of us. And anyway, long story short, I was with a young man that knows JJ. And I was telling him that y'all were going to be on the show here this Monday, and that y'all were doing the benefit for JJ. And he's like, man, I know JJ, and just spoke so highly of this kid. Just another kid here, 19-year-old guy, just was over the moon about him, was showing me the Prayers for JJ Facebook group and telling me some stories and this, that, and the other. And it's just, you hate to see stuff happen to anybody, but especially when you seem so like it's somebody that everybody was over the moon about.
Well, I got a 19-year-old son, well, a 20-year-old son now, but, you know, so I can understand exactly, well, you can't really understand it unless you lived it, but I can somewhat understand how his family must feel and his friends. when you got a kid or nephew, niece, whatever, and you see this happen to another kid, it'll get your attention. Yeah. And it could happen. It could be me, you, any one of us in this room, just like that. I mean, it just goes to show you he was an 18-year-old kid at the time of the wreck. Had just got a new job with Energy. Was coming home from lineman training. They've been teaching him to be a lineman, and in a rain, just hit a water hole, hydroplane. Truck went over end, and just that quick. There were witnesses that saw it. He wasn't doing anything erratic on the road, wasn't speeding or none of the things. Some of the rumors you hear, there was actually an eyewitness right behind him who said that he was doing nothing but driving down the road, and she actually was following him, or been behind him for a piece. It was raining, like I said, and he hit a hole. Boom, just that quick.
Well, I brought up in conversation the other day, somebody. I guess it was my first question too. Was, well, what was going on? How did this happen? How did that happen? And I was like, it doesn't matter. If people want to donate money to help somebody's family, how you got to that situation is irrelevant. It's that we're here, we're going to help, we need help, whatever the case may be. That's what we do here. We wrap our arms around folks and help them when we can.
Well, that's a good point. I bet you could go out there right now and stop 100 cars, and you can't find probably 2 out of those 100 that hadn't, that hadn't been in a situation where something like that could happen. Yeah. In other words, it don't, like you said, it don't matter what was going on, and nothing was going on in this particular case that we're aware of. It was just a normal night, guy coming home from work. But as you said, so many times you hear people being critical of what was this person or that person doing whenever it happened. At the end of the day, it really don't matter. We're all human. We all make mistakes. I'm lucky. I can tell you right now, I am a lucky individual to be sitting in this room talking. I should have got it many moons ago.
Yeah, I'm lucky that nobody had to do a fundraiser for my parents. All right, look, we're going to take a break real quick. You're listening to the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're live here in the Generator Power Solutions studio, and this segment's going to be brought to you by Generator Power Solutions, a permanently installed home Generac backup generator will protect your home automatically. It runs on natural gas or liquid propane, and it sits outside just like a central air conditioning unit. A home backup generator delivers power directly to your home's electrical system, backing up your entire home or just the most essential items. You can check them out right there in Pearl, Mississippi on El Dorado Road, or online at GeneratorPowerSolutionsLLC.com, or give them a call, 601-519-4064. Locally owned, locally operated. Great folks over there at Generator Power Solutions. All right, I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Jimmie Nichols, Miss Ashely Jones from Swamp People, and Miss Therese Apel with DarkHorsePressNow.com. We got to get our .com in. Ashely, so how does a girl from Mississippi end up on Swamp People, man? That's pretty cool. I mean, not to be filmed in Mississippi, A
lot of people assume I'm from Louisiana or that I live in Louisiana, but I make sure they know I'm a proud Mississippi girl. But anyway. And
a Mississippi State fan, too, right?
That's right.
Hell State.
That's right. Go Dogs. We, about 7 years ago, they did, Mississippi's alligator tags are usually just a lottery draw. But this one particular year, they did first come, first serve. So it's basically whoever had the fastest internet, And I had everything put in and was ready to go as soon as the clock struck. And I was able to get a tag that year. And it was my first year. I've been putting in for my husband, for as many years as they've been doing it. And thankfully, I was able to get a tag that year. My husband's a NFL concussion litigation attorney. And so he was having to go do a convention in L.A. and wasn't going to be able to go hunt with me. So I was able to go with my dad, and right when we got up to time, because they do it a few months before, and right when they got up to time to go hunt, I found out my dad had dementia. And so this was something that me and him were going to get to go do together. And, we never really had a hobby that we did together, or, a time where we were just really able to just bond like that, over something that a lot of people don't get a chance to do. And that I wouldn't take $1 million for that hunt, but we got out there and we hunted for a few days and ended up catching a monster alligator, just huge.
I remember that. I remember when you posted that on Facebook. I'm like, I didn't know this girl did all that.
Yeah, I didn't know I did it either. I still don't believe it now, but his head was just monstrous compared to his body. I mean, it was a big gator, don't get me wrong, but his head was just huge. And we just had the time of our lives that night. And it was something that we could always talk about and laugh together about, or, you know, talk about just how hard it was. And he was the only other person that knew just how hard it was. So it was a real cool experience. I took a picture laying across the back of it, and it caught one of the producers' attention, and that was what eventually ended up putting me on the show. It's crazy because I told my husband a few years before that I just knew, for some reason, I just knew I was going to hunt on TV. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I kept telling him that, and here I am 4 years later, you know, maybe 5. It depends on the season this year, but you just never would have thought that. No,
it's cool. I mean, so you're a regular on there now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, you're one of the anchors of the show. It's really cool, man. We're just, like I say, we're just really, really proud of you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So one of the, probably a silly question here, but I'm not necessarily a big outdoors guy. When you go down and you do this and you film the shows and stuff for that weekend, are you down there for just like a weekend at a time and you come back home and just get a hotel while you're there? Or?
It's about 6 weeks, 6 days a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess how many episodes are in a season?
This year we have 15 and we're on 12 of them.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Therese, you got anything?
Well, I was just going to ask, you know, and I think Clay just kind of covered it, but I know for me, you know, I have a little show that comes out every 2 weeks, and it's with the Interdiction guys, and basically I have to film a whole lot to get good content that, like, is exciting or whatever like that. And sometimes that's not possible just because you're following every day and maybe nothing happens every day. Talk a little bit about kind of, is there a time that you're out there and you're like, man, you know, that's going to be what's going to be big in the show? Can you tell when it happens, you know, that kind of thing?
There are a lot of times when I'm like, oh man, I hope you got that. I mean, I'll turn around at our camera guy like, you better have gotten that. There was one particular time where the gator was on land and he was tied up all the way around the tree. And it wasn't a situation where I could have shot it from far because of the angle that this gator was on. And so I had to get off on land with him. And the only thing that was keeping him from getting me was my buddy Ronnie that I hunt with. And I mean, you got to put a whole lot of trust in somebody to be on land with. This was a 10-foot gator at the time. And he just so happened to break loose a limb that sent him lunging towards me. And I bet you that I actually broke the microphone that day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But there are times where it's like, oh, gosh, I hope you got that, or that's going to definitely be on the show. And I learned real quickly that it's hard to do that, especially when you're filming wildlife, because you don't really get to control what they do. You either get it or you don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the case for what I do, too. Sometimes it's like, man, how was I not looking that way when that happened?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. What's your favorite part about doing that? I know that, you know, people tend to look at people that are, you know, famous and they're like, oh, it's got to be the greatest thing. But what is actually the greatest thing about what you're doing?
I think the greatest thing is probably having the opportunity to talk to people that they're my biggest fan. Mm-hmm. And I talked to a girl the other day that had stage 4 breast cancer that was my same age. And, you know, she cried that she was so happy to talk to me. And it still seems unreal that somebody would be that excited to meet me. But it's really nice to be able to make somebody's day like that, you know, and make a difference in somebody's life and make them feel important. Because, you know, it's hard to make yourself think, you know, well, I'm famous or I'm on a TV show. But when you get to help people like that, it's almost like a selfishly satisfying feeling.
Sure. Well, and talk a little bit about, I mean, when you're a public figure of any kind, you have a platform. Kind of what do you want people to say about you, you know, when the time comes to retire or whatever like that? What do you want people to remember about you as your character? I mean, not your character, but, you know, there's a persona on TV. It's a little different than who we are, but, you know.
I just hope that they remember, like I said, you just never would think you're going to be on TV. And I just hope they remember that really anything's possible. You know, you can do anything. And I know that sounds cliche, but you know, really, if you have your mind set on something that you want to do, you work towards it every day and work hard. I definitely shock myself every year with how much I'm capable of, you know, and I would hope people would remember that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, I've seen you post about this online and stuff, so I assume it's okay to talk about here. But I know you've dealt with anxiety and stuff like that too, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that's got to have its good days and bad with being a public figure now, and dealing with online criticism and bullying and just some of the stuff that you see that people go through that are in your position.
Yeah, it's hard because, you know, I'll read comments that are just nasty, and at the same time, there's some of the nicest comments and things I want to see, so I have to go through them. But it's easy to remember the mean ones, you know, a lot easier. So I hope people are more aware of what they're saying online. It's like they don't remember that I'm a real person, or maybe they don't think I read it. I don't know.
I think, at least in my experience, it's like they feel like because they know your face and they know who they think you are through the screen, but they don't actually know you as a human. I feel like sometimes people think they own you now. Like, you know, to some extent, that is something that doesn't really exist, so I can say what I want. And the thing is, you know, obviously being a news person and, you know, doing some of the stuff I've done, it just amazes me how people are not afraid to talk about what you look like or what you believe or, you know, where you're from or things like that. But the thing that I read one time, and I try to remember this, I try so hard, it takes 7 positive comments to delete a negative comment in your mind. And I think for me, sometimes it's like 70 positive comments, you know?
Yeah.
But that's to me something that I'm trying to translate it into compassion for those people. Because how rotten do you have to be as a human to get on Facebook or wherever and just insult somebody you've never met? Like, you've got to be a terrible person for that.
Yeah, and you have to remember that too, you know, that they're just miserable with themselves.
Right.
You know, for me, I don't mind you attacking anything about me you want to attack, my politics, my beliefs, anything of that nature. But, I mean, you can call me ugly, I don't care. But I do find it funny that people go to the lowest common denominator. The first thing, it's something superficial.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm telling them they're ugly. They got gap teeth, their hair, this.
Right.
Mean, is that just the first place that some of these people go? It's like, there's a lot of other things to not like me about.
Right.
You know, I just find it odd that, you know, these internet trolls, like, their lowest common denominator is the first place they start.
Well, and I swear sometimes I want to get on and be like, yes, I'm a real redhead, but sometimes my hair is brighter because I like it when it's brighter. And yes, I know I've gained weight. Of course I know there's wrinkles now, guys. I'm not 10 years younger anymore. You know, that kind of, you just want to explain yourself, and then it's like, but why?
Yeah.
But
exactly.
why? You know?
Well, hitting on what both of you just said, it's funny. Ashley got into what she's doing because of what she said and wanting to help people. But our TV show all of ours started from going to see a 9-year-old in the hospital with cancer who liked what we did. But with that said, you know, all the negative comments, I've read some of the ones from Ashley's post, and I know her personally. So, you know, I kind of giggle about it, at not laughing at her, just laughing at how people are so critical of people. But Ashely was the very first person who, when I asked to help us help somebody else at this benefit, came and has not to this day sent us an invoice.
Yeah.
In other words, she does it because she's a good person.
Wants to give back.
And I'm like you, Clay. There's a lot of things people could dislike me for, and that's why I'll never be probably an elected official. Yeah. Because probably my way of responding to it's not as kind as theirs is, no. So I have to stay away from it. No. But I'll say that, and Therese here has helped us. When I was in law enforcement, did a lot of positive stuff for us, and you know, those are giving hearts. Hey, you know, so
Jimmie, we got to take a break real quick. You're listening to the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB. All right, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We got about 2 minutes here before we land the plane for the first hour and get you out of that favorite top of the hour news break. So just to kind of reset here, we've got Ashely Jones from Swamp People. We've got Jimmy Nichols. With Jimmy Nichols works for Michael Guest too, and does some other things as well as this Grab You One Outfitters, J.J. Bailey Benefits, Snake Grabbing Rodeo. I mean, Jimmy's a very busy man. You can't go to an event around Rankin County in particular and not run across Jimmie Nichols. If you see a random guy walking around talking to everybody in the room, it's Jimmie Nichols. It's like it's become a running joke at these breakfasts and stuff that we go to. So I like Jimmie, man. It's Jimmie's second time on the show, actually, man. We came and sat in here and told war stories for about 2 hours one day, screaming monkeys and all kind of stuff. Good time. Hey, so Jimmie, you'll be set up down at Commissioner Gibson's fairgrounds this weekend. Is it this upcoming weekend or next?
Yes, it starts
selling the raffle tickets.
Yeah. Well, the Commissioner of Agriculture, Mr. Andy Gibson's doing the fairgrounds is putting on a crawfish festival. Starts, I believe, is Wednesday, and goes through Sunday. Got some real good entertainment. I'm trying to pull the flyer up now. But got some real good entertainment going to be there. I'm going to try to get down probably Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon to set up a tent to actually sell some of these raffle tickets for the J.J. Bailey benefit.
Hey, Jimmie, hold that thought right there, man. We'll get it on the other side of this break. You're listening to the Clay Edwards Show on 103.9 WYAB. To the Clay Edwards Show. We are live here in the Generator Power Solutions studio, and I am joined in studio by Mr. Jimmie Nichols, Miss Ashley Jones from Swamp Peoples, and Miss Therese Apel with DarkHorsePressNow.com. And we are promoting events, big upcoming fundraisers, man. A young man over in Brandon, Mr. J.J. Bailey, had a bad accident, and we're raising some money for him, or should I say Jimmie and Ashley are raising some money for him. We're going to do all we can to help. Right before we went to the break, Jimmie, we were talking about the big crawfish bowl down at the fairgrounds this weekend. You'll be set up there selling raffle tickets, and so let's see. Friday night they've got Lane Hardy playing. Saturday looks like Blue Oyster Cult, and Sunday they got Bobby Rush, and there's some other bands playing as well. Actually, some buddies of yours are playing one night. Shake the Bucket.
Yeah,
I got to see those guys at the Blue fundraiser last time I was down there.
Yeah, Shake the Bucket, no Bob Birchfield, and Dylan Alford, that crew, they're good.
Yeah,
they're good. Bob's just an entertainer. He loves that business. And then of course you got Hannah Everhart, American Idol, be there, and then Sullivan's Holla.
Is that the girl from here?
Yeah,
Man,
Hannah's from here.
I have not watched American Idol since the season. Old girl from Brandon was on it. It just singing competitions aren't my thing, but I have heard her name now that you mention it.
Yeah, and then you got the Tip Tops be there. So Commissioner Gibson, Jim Armstrong, those people always put on a good event. I went last year. Real good event last year. They expect it to be bigger this time.
Yeah, last year it was one of the first big events post COVID. Other than the fair, but it was the first event that the gloves were kind of off.
Yeah, Commissioner Gibson took a pretty hard stance on, the COVID thing. He was safe, but he believed in people being able to get back to what we do, and did it in a safe way. And I don't think he had any problems from it last year, and it looks like this year is going to be even bigger. It's a free admission to the festival, $10 parking, concert area tickets, $5 Friday through Sunday, $10 Saturday. It looks like.
And look, man, if y'all haven't seen Bobby Rush play, I implore you to go see Bobby Rush play. Before, I mean, he ain't getting any younger. I don't want to jinx the man, but he's got to be in his 80s, and multi-time Grammy winner, lives right here in Jackson, Mississippi. They're fixing to rename Ellis Avenue after him, for goodness sake. He's a really cool guy, and it's a great experience. He's got a couple old girls that dance on stage with him. I mean, it's a party. I saw him at Frank Melton's inauguration event on Fair Street years and years ago. It was the first time I got to see him, and it was wound up. It was a good time. I highly recommend you going to see him, Bobby Rush. And I went to that event last year too, man. It was, like I said, it was the first out. We're back. Like it felt normal.
If you were listening earlier, we were talking about the benefit for William Lindley at the back porch over in Rankin County. The crawfish for this festival is being done by the back porch.
Yep.
Chad over there does a tremendous job of supporting law enforcement, supporting different charity type events here in this area, and he's doing the crawfish for this event. I think they're 20,000 plus pounds or more they anticipate, cooking and selling.
Yeah, he did it last year, and they were phenomenal. And I go over to the back porch a good bit. I've made it more this year now that I live out there than I have previously. But look, I grew up with
try
Chad.
their hamburgers.
Oh yeah, yep, they're good. Look,
Sourdough buns. Oh.
I grew up with Chad, like right next door in South Jackson. So the first time I've told this a bunch on here lately, but the first time I ever ate crawfish was with Chad. So the fact to see his success and that he's still doing that is really cool and growing. They got some big announcements coming out that way here soon. I won't ruin it for him, but looking forward to it and very happy for his success and getting to do this big event down there. It's just adds to it, and now people can go down there and try it and be like, man, where did I get that good crawfish? Chad, if you want to advertise on the show, let me know.
Well, you're doing it now for free.
I know.
Well, he deserved that plug. He does a lot of stuff for the community. He's a good guy.
He does. Hey, so we were talking during the break about people being from different areas and the kind of language barriers, and we're talking about chitlins, and Bobby Rush is the king of the chitlin circuit. So we were talking about chitlins and stuff, and I actually got me to think. I wanted to ask you a question, and I was saying how we spell chitlins. We say chitlins one way, we spell it another. You're down there in Louisiana doing the swamp people stuff, and it's always been famous as just the language barrier. They speak a different language down there.
Oh yeah.
Do you have an interpreter or anybody to help you understand what's going on, or has it become your second language?
Well, I ask a lot of questions too because I don't want somebody to be calling me something that I don't know what it is, But like the word "che" down there is like somebody saying, "Hey, what's up, brother?" Or that's just a term of endearment down there,
What is it again?
Come
She
on,
said,
Che.
what's
We got
context?
Yeah. Get on the boat, Che.
Got it. That's funny.
But they have two separate languages, honestly. Like, it's a different accent in both parts. Like, if I'm in Pierre part, Troy has a different accent than my buddy Ronnie. They talk completely different. It's funny, though. But there's a lot of times where I'm like, do what?
Yeah, no, look, it's fun. That was always that thing. I guess who was the guy that was like, shoot him?
Yeah, that's Troy.
That's Troy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If they do what? Shoot him.
Yeah.
Shoot him, y'all.
Yeah, shoot him. So you mentioned. Well, just sitting here thinking about it. You brought up the alligator tags earlier here in Mississippi. Is it just a free for all down there for the most part, or do you have to get tags for everyone y'all catch? How does that work?
They're a lot easier to get down there. You just have to be a landowner, really. It's just depending on how much area you own as to how many tags you get.
So I guess,
but they're easy to get.
Yeah. So the show, I assume, is working with landowners to get their tags, or
that's right.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. So
and they otherwise probably wouldn't be filled because you're using a $4 hook, and if you catch an alligator 6 foot, you got to almost pay them to take the alligator. The processor. So.
That's it. I guess I never really think about that part of it. What do y'all do with all the alligator? Do y'all get it all processed, just split it up, donate it to charity? What's y'all's?
We sell it to a processor.
Yeah, well, I guess, and they'll sell it down there, won't they?
That's right.
Yeah,
they sell it to restaurants and things like that. But I don't eat alligator now that I know what it takes to catch them. They're nasty. What they got to eat is real gross. It'd be like eating a buzzard to me at this point.
Yeah, you can eat chicken. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, look. That I see it, and it's like once you know how the sausage is made, as they say.
Yeah.
Well, I get asked all the time, what do y'all do with these snakes? You eat them? Like, no, we don't eat them. You can get chicken and chitlins and stuff like that at the grocery store. Why are you going to eat a snake?
Yeah, I've tried a bunch of crazy stuff. I guess I've had some alligator, which that's probably not even that crazy anymore. Of course, fried squirrel. That's some nice delicacy down here.
It's a tree rat.
Exactly. I remember that at my great-grandmother's. I can't remember where. It was a one-time thing. But we're not above eating some roadkill around here.
My son has a little pellet gun, and he was out in the woods with his buddy. And, like a year later, they tell me that they shot this little bird. And I was like, now, Camden, you can't shoot something that you're not going to eat. And he said, no, we ate it. And I said, well, how did you cook it? He said, we cooked it down in the shop house. And I was like, in what? So they used my cast iron skillet to not a dove bird.
It's just a bird.
Just a bird.
It was an Oreo.
Oh, no. He was wondering what that special seasoning was in there.
Golly.
I didn't know I cooked with this. That's good. All right. Well, let's reset here. The benefit is June 5th?
June 4th. The Snake Grabbing Rodeo. We actually start June the 3rd at 7:45. We have a band called Haralson. Great band out of here. It's a Mississippi band. They play a lot of 80s, 90s rock.
Good guys.
Yeah, good people.
Guys.
And then we turn around Saturday morning, like I said earlier, at 10 o'clock, the rodeo kicks off. We depart from Roy's Store Pier. We go out on the lake. The teams do. They catch their snakes just like going on a bass tournament. They come back. We do a weigh-in at 2:30. Then we have a meet and greet with Ashely Jones here and the other celebrities who will be there. LaRon Porkchop from Swamp People, Brad Cooney, John Bullard, Moonshiner Mike Cockrell, some of the same people coming back. Not sure yet about Turtle Man or Cy. But then at 7:45 that night, Shake the Bucket kicks off, and they always close our event out, do a great job at it. They put everybody to bed about 2-3 next morning, I'd say, and then everybody comes home on Sunday.
Yeah, look, they're a great band. I'd never heard of them till you're to the Back the Blue benefit down at the Coliseum after the rodeo that last night, and got to see them live there at the at that fundraiser.
Yeah, Jim Armstrong's been working his tail off trying to get them a gig at the Coliseum. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just seems like nothing against none of the other people now. Don't take this the wrong way, but he's been trying to get Bob introduced into that environment down there and give him a shot. And from everybody that I talked to from that Back the Blue event, they'd like to see him back.
Yeah, they were good. I'm looking forward to it, and so this sounds like another great event. I'm gonna try to get up there this year. I just met you last year. I think the event had just happened by the time I figured it all out and whatnot. But this is like something cool, man. How many people typically show up for this thing? I mean, by the time we're really rocking and rolling, what's the peak capacity?
Well, it's hard to say because it being an all-day event, and a lot of people come to watch the rodeo. A lot of people come just for the entertainment. Some come for both. So I would say on that Saturday, there's probably upwards of, I'm talking total people now, not necessarily at the water in the rodeo, but that are brought in. I'm going to say around anywhere from 700 people at least.
That's a big old turnout then.
Yeah, this event books out every cabin, every camper site on that lake. It's done it consistently. I mean, you can ask Ashely here. We struggled to find her place the first year she came because everything was already booked. And by the time she and I talked, she said she could come. She said, "Can you get me a place to stay?" I said, "Sure, we can." Well, I almost had to eat my words because I had to beg and plead to get a spot for her to stay. And since we've learned it books out the year before. In other words, at this year's event, people that are here this year will go ahead and reserve their cabins for next year. It's crazy. I mean, but
people have so much fun there that they book it while they're there for the next year.
You just do it the first weekend in June? Is that kind of the...
It's always the first weekend in June. We talked about changing it a couple times, but then you got Mother's Day, you got other events right around that. There's a lot of stuff going on, right around that, early part of the summer. And so it's just kind of stuck with us. The lady who owns Roy's Store has been kind enough to basically let us have her facility for the last 13 years.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I say have it. Usually.
If you do it on one weekend, you're competing against something on this week. You just got to pick one and hope you got a good enough event to draw people. I've learned that over the years.
And it's funny, we hear people all the time. I ain't coming no snake grabbing rodeo. I ain't getting around no snakes. You don't have to be around snake. It's not all around snake.
Yeah.
There's other things that go on, but I'll say this: most of the people who come, even with that fear of snakes, return. So they kind of get past that hump. Nobody's going to chase you down, put a snake in your drawers, and nothing like that. I mean, we don't try to. We want you to understand snakes, number one, and kind of educate you at the same time that all snakes are not bad because, unfortunately, most snakes that you see in the wild get their head chopped off. So we're trying to teach people, too, that there's no reason for killing most of these snakes. Obviously, if you got a cottonmouth or copperhead in your flower bed and you got kids on a dog or what have you, I get it. But most snakes are not going to bother you if you just leave them alone.
Ain't no doubt about it, man. As you get older, man, you just start looking at more stuff like that and all. It's like,
yeah.
I don't want a snake biting me or touching me necessarily, but I do really love to learn about them and look at them and all that good stuff. Well, I'm looking forward to it. All right, we're going to take a break real quick. Ashley, you cool with taking some phone calls when we come back?
Sure.
All right, if y'all want to call, talk to Ashley or Jimmie or Therese or myself, 601-879-0002 is the Mac Hike of Flowood Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram phone line, and we will get you on hold and get you on the phone with one of us here on the other side of this break. You listen to the Clay Edwards Show on 103.9 WYAB. Come back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're live here in the Generator Power Solutions studio. If any of you guys got any questions or want to talk to Ashley or Therese or Jimmie or myself, the phone line is 601-879-0002. That is the Mac Hike Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Flowood phone line. We'd love to hear from you. And they're here promoting a big event they got coming up the first weekend in June up there at Lake Washington. Is that correct? And it's for J.J. Bailey. And if you missed any of the first hour, J.J. Bailey's a young man from Brandon right here in central Mississippi that was in a bad car wreck. He was 18 years old at the time of the wreck, Jimmie?
18 at the wreck, 19 now.
19 now.
It happened September of last year.
And so he got a severe brain injury. But they do expect him to eventually recover, correct?
Yes. I'm not sure, how long. Obviously, nobody's sure how long this will take. But I'll say this. I stay in contact either by phone with JJ's dad or just following what he's putting on Facebook. And my last conversation with him, yes, he's seeing improvements. He's seeing some things change, get better. He's doing some things that give him a whole lot of hope. And, of course, it seems like when you have 2 good days, you'll have a day of setback. But, yes, from what I've seen, JJ appears to me to be moving forward. Hopefully one day he can have a full recovery. Biggest challenge right now is his parents would like to hear his voice again. He hadn't been speaking up till at least now, unless something happened last day or two. He wasn't able to communicate verbally, and still kind of bound to a wheelchair, or is bound to a wheelchair. But he's taking some baby steps with help. They got him on his feet in rehab. So, things are happening for the better. And, again, like I said, you'll have 2 or 3 good days and then a dang day of setbacks. But that's kind of par for the course with a lot of stuff. But he's got a long way to go.
Yeah, and there's a Facebook group dedicated to JJ's recovery. It's Prayers for JJ Bailey, and it's Bailey. And you guys follow that there. I'm sitting here looking at it now. They got some pictures of him kind of up on the walker and kind of standing up and some stuff in physical therapy and whatnot. And it's good to see. It's baby steps, but it's steps.
JJ's dad, I get asked all the time, well, who is JJ and who's his parents? And I'm not going to get too deep into their personal information. I'll say this. So James's dad, everybody referred to him as Sluggo. I knew the name Sluggo. I didn't know who James Bailey was, but somebody said that's Sluggo's son. So so a lot of people recognize Mr. James by the name Sluggo. Sluggo was a car dealer. He had a car dealership, some used car type sales places there around the Brandon area. Matter of fact, I think he sold his to Womack. If you know where Womack's car place, I think Womack actually obtained that place through Mr. Bailey.
Gotcha.
And then his mom's Rachel Bailey. Like I said, both great people, dedicated to their son, trying to see him recover. And I can only imagine. I'm sure Ashely here has children, and I think we both. I think everybody in the room can sympathize with the fact they'd like to hear their son speak again and get up on his feet and walk.
Well, feels like an easy thing to get behind.
Oh yeah, it didn't take. I mean, we're a group. We vote on who we help every year, just simply because there's 4 of us, and we like to have everybody has input into who it is tough to choose between 1 and 2 and 3. I had an opportunity to go over and sit down with Mr. Bailey. I don't remember exactly what Teresa told me. Hey, have you seen this kid on Facebook? The story about J.J. Bailey. Had no idea who he was. We were looking at 2 or 3 different prospects at the time, and so pulled up the Facebook page, ended up contacting Mr. Bailey, went over and spoke with him at his home. I can tell you this from my side of it, because I was the person who actually interviewed them. The other guys had other things going on, but when I walked out of that house, I had no doubt that whether our group tried to help JJ or not, and I don't mean that in a sarcastic or bad way, yeah. I was fixing to figure out a way to try to help this kid. Whether we did it as a group or whether I figured out a way to do a raffle or something separate from what we chose. I mean, I was going to do whatever we chose to do, but at the same time, I couldn't see how, after that conversation, I couldn't try to do something to help this boy.
Yeah, look, and I'm going to tell y'all something. If you're not in these little this little kind of political circles and this, that, and the other, you don't go to these Rankin County Republican breakfast or Grimp and Grin and some of these other events, you can't appreciate how passionate Jimmy Nichols is about this. And he's sitting there, he sets up, he sells these raffle tickets, he hustles it up, and I mean that as a compliment. You know, just a intense individual when it comes to this. When he wraps his mind around he's going to do this, he does it. I mean, it's almost like paying a cover charge if you see Jimmy Nichols in there. You know, he ain't hassling you. But he's letting you know he's there, man. And I just respect that because, I mean, it says a lot about the character of the man. I want to make sure we don't wait till somebody's gone to give them their flowers. And, you know, you're doing a heck of a job too, my friend.
Well, thanks, Clay. I appreciate the kind words. But like we were talking about earlier, I think everybody in this room has probably had their lucky days and very fortunate days. I've been blessed. Outside the IRS, I'm extremely happy. But
sensitive subject.
Yeah. But with that said, you know, it's like Ashely said too a while ago. I think giving back and helping is probably one of the, you know, best things that anybody can do. And I'm not saying that because we're doing this, but you know, there's always somebody out there who can use help, whether it be financially, just support, friendship, whatever. Pat on the back every once in a while, or hey, bud, if you need somebody to talk to. But J.J. Bailey, again, I'll just say, is one of those cases where when you look at it, and there's many more out there like it. I know I'm not trying to take away from anybody else's situation, but when you look at those type cases, I don't know how you can walk away from somebody like that and not try to have them. You know, it was tough. I sat there with his dad at the table dang near, and, well, was in tears. He might not have noticed it initially, but you know, I can remember walking back to my truck thinking, you know, whew, it almost tears me up now thinking about it. I had to kind of take a breath there because it's sad. You know, I've lived a rambunctious life, probably should have been killed. And like I said, the good Lord took care of me for some kind of reason. I hadn't figured it all out yet, but you know, it could have been me, it could have been my son, it could have been, you know, somebody else, but he's a good kid from all accounts, and we just trying to do what we can do to help him.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Like I said, we need more people like that, like you guys, like what y'all all bring to the table. So we definitely appreciate it. Somebody like Ashely is very, very busy. You know, we got Therese. She's out here bringing attention to law enforcement that I don't think any media outlet around here has ever given to local law enforcement. And, you know, that's something that's very important to me and the show and my entire platform is celebrating law enforcement. And Jimmie, 30 years retired? I mean, yes. You spent 30 years in law enforcement and you're retired from that now, but NBN, I mean, you were on the front lines doing all of it.
Well, one of the key things that she does that I've noticed since she's done it for a long time, Darkhorse Press obviously does it a little bit more in depth, is it brings attention to what your everyday, what the real job is. It's easy to criticize a police officer or a law enforcement guy from some quick video you saw from something that happened. Now, all of them are not always right. I was one of those guys, I wasn't always right. We make mistakes just like everybody does. But unfortunately, a lot of times in law enforcement, what she's seeing and filming and talking and riding and watching with these guys is what I'd like for everybody to get to see, because their decisions are based sometimes are made in like a millisecond. You know, life and death decisions are made quicker than a snap of a finger sometimes. I've been involved in a shooting, been around shootings. They happen quick, and they're over quick usually. We were in one night, though, it was 4.5 hours. So, I mean, you know, they do last sometimes. But usually those decisions are made, boom, right now. And there's no margin for error there. And unfortunately, sometimes the decision's not absolutely right. But what she's doing is bringing light to what these guys do on an everyday basis and giving the public a real view of, you know, this is what they really do.
Of the grind.
Yeah, it's not like what you saw on TV that's rehearsed a million times and, you know, there's just one shot and the bad guy's down or what have you. It don't work like that. You know, one of the situations I was talking about a while ago was a over 4-hour gun battle. The suspect ended up with 19 entry wounds and was still fighting to his last breath. So So where I'm going with that is it's not like the TV show. When you hear the pop and somebody lays down, it's all over. This guy was still, to his last breath, was capable and would have killed somebody had they put themselves in front of him again. And, nothing good about even seeing a suspect in that situation. It's tragic. He had family too. So it's a tough situation, and she's bringing to light what officers go through in those battles daily, not only on the job but when they get home.
I think one of the things that I find kind of trying to bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community and law enforcement and the media is that I have been really blessed in my life to get to be around you guys, to actually get to be in those cars and be in those situations with you. I've been shot at with you, that kind of stuff. And it's something that the normal human doesn't see. The guy on the street never sees that moment yesterday where the Rankin County deputy rolls up behind the guy that just got spiked and the guy gets out with an AR. How would any of the critics react? Oh, shoot him in the leg. I'm sorry. I am going to point and shoot like I have been trained to point and shoot. I'm not going to go, oh, well, there he is with that big gun. I think I'll try to shoot him in the leg. And there are things like that I think are so important because, yes, cops get it wrong sometimes. And so, just like any other profession, there are the ones that plan to get it wrong. But generally, for the most part, these guys are out here, and I did a little video the other day because we were laughing about, I had a video of William Lindley's mom on the phone talking to him about how bad his grass looked. And he's like, well, I'm just trying to get one more HOA letter before, I move out. And then I show us pulling up behind a car, and it says, but everything can change in a minute. And then it's like, cops have mamas too. And I'm going to kind of bring that series out a little bit more, just little 30-minute videos or 30-second videos, because yesterday, there those two interdiction officers are just checking a car for dope like they do all the time. Somebody comes flying by. Next thing they know, they've got, someone wanted for kidnapping 2 kids, and he's got a semi-automatic rifle on him. Boom, that changes things immediately. And so to me, there's a perspective that the civilian doesn't see, and they assume what fills that gap. And that's something I'm trying to kind of color in for them. Well,
the mindset you were talking about shooting them in the leg and shooting them in the knee and all this stuff, if you're in a real gunfight or a life and death situation and you're thinking shooting somebody in the knee, you will die.
You will die.
That's just how that works.
Oh, yeah.
You won't win that gun battle.
So
he's not intending on shooting you in the knee.
But Jimmie, shoot the gun out of his hand. Of course, I said
Show
that
me
joking,
he who
y'all.
can do that, and I'm going to give him an award myself.
Right, exactly.
You mean all that stuff I saw in the movies, them shooting pistols out of people's hands ain't real?
Yeah, that's the way I used to function.
Yeah. All right, man, we're going to take a break real quick. You're listening to The Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB.
Ashley.
All right, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're live in the Generator Power Solutions studio, and this segment is going to be brought to you by Lakeland Glass and Tint, right over there on Lakeland Drive, and now at their new campus on Flowood Drive. They're doing, of course, all your automobile windshield needs, home, car, business, anything you need tinted, they got you, and they're also doing vehicle and wall wraps or anything you may need graphic design for. They're doing all that. Give them a call, 601-946-1000, or check them out online at lakelandglassandtint.com. All right, I'm joined in studio by Miss Therese Apel at darkhorsepressnow.com, Jimmy Nichols, and Miss Ashely Jones with Swamp People. Ashely, as we were talking about shooting there in the last segment, and my buddy Jimmy here reminded me you are Ashely Deadeye Jones. So I imagine you're pretty good with a gun.
Yeah, so.
I mean, hopefully you never get into a shootout with law enforcement, or at least maybe you'll be on their team, maybe.
Yeah, I would hope that I'd be on that end.
Yeah, I guess we all do. Well, let me ask you. You mentioned earlier about your about getting to go hunting with your dad and that gator hunt, and that he had found out he had dementia right there at the top. So you've obviously been hunting and stuff for a long time. Is that something you and your dad did growing up, or what? How did you get into this?
Actually, it's not. I grew up shooting with him. He was a gun collector, and we did go out shooting all the time. But we lived in the city of Jackson, and I never hunted. I didn't hunt until actually I met my husband, and I suffered a miscarriage, and it caused me to go through a bout of just depression. You know, I was just sad. He told me one day I was sitting there eating cereal, and he said, you know, I don't know the last time I saw you laugh, let alone smile. And I was like, wow, you know, because I didn't really realize it. And he said, I'm going to take you hunting this afternoon, and it's going to change you. And I was like, yeah, right. You know, I can't imagine going out there shooting something would make me feel better. But we went out there, and, you know, we just were blessed with the best season. You know, even though I didn't shoot a deer that year, we just had deer running all over us. And it was just a cool experience to be in the woods when, I call it when they wake up, when the woods wake up, you know, you start hearing the birds chirping. And it's just an experience. You have to be there to understand what I'm talking about, you know. And it did change me. It gave me a passion and a drive and an outlet that gives me something to do, you know, when I do feel that way. And just kind of like re-centers yourself being out there in the woods and having to, you know, teach yourself all these things. And it comes like with patience, you know, just drive, persistence. You know, you got to get up early, stay late, and you're walking through all these woods. And once you get out there, you know, it doesn't matter how tired you are, you still got to get back to the truck, you know. So it just gives you an opportunity to really push yourself to, you know, be the best version of yourself. And it's just something I truly enjoy. And now I have something I can go and do and put my energy into.
How long have you been doing it? So give us a time frame. When would that have been?
That was about 8 years ago.
So this has all happened. I know 8 years seems like a long time, but in the scope of things, a pretty short amount of time to go from that to where you're at now.
Yeah.
And really subtract 4 years from that, from when you got on TV. So in about 4 years, you went pretty much on your first hunting trip.
Yeah.
To being on TV. That's amazing, Ashely.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that. I just figured this was something you had done your whole life.
I think people always think that, you know, just because you wouldn't think you'd be just hunting for 4 years and then end up on a TV show doing it for a living.
You know, you're around these people that they grew up. I'm going to guess they've been doing it longer than 4 years. These are the people that grew up down there. Are you the only non-Louisianian? Is that right? Am I saying that right? On the show?
Actually, the guy that hunts with Jacob Langer, his name's Don, and he used to be on the show Mudcats. He's from Oklahoma, so he's my buddy, you know. We're the only two non-natives of Louisiana.
They got to have somebody you can kind of talk in English to.
I don't know if she's really talking English or not, though.
I'll butcher it enough for all of us, I promise. We'll go back and fact check words I say. I'm like, oh, is that the wrong word? That means something completely different. I'm like, oh, well, as life goes. Therese, you done much hunting?
No, I have never been a hunter. And it's been interesting to me because I don't have a problem with people hunting. Go for it. People assume when you say that, like, I couldn't kill a deer, guys. I mean, there's a lot of things I could kill, but you know, I just, and the thing is, people assume that means you're PETA or that, you know, whatever. To me, it's the coolest thing. When you said that about watching the woods wake up, I actually got involved with Southern Outdoors Unlimited in the last year, and they do the benefits for the handicapped kids and take them out hunting and that kind of thing. And it was the first time I really had the hunting experience. And as I was sitting there thinking, like, oh man, they're so pretty, I couldn't kill them because I'm a big bleeding heart when it comes to animals. But then it was all of a sudden too, I thought, but you could photograph, and it's the exact same experience almost. I mean, without the thrill of the kill and that kind of thing. But so to me, hunting is one of those things I've always been fascinated with. All my friends are hunters. I don't think I could live in a world that didn't have hunters, but I had never actually experienced anything close to it as far as the outdoors experience until I did these things with SOU, and I get it now. I 100% get the process, and I think it's amazing. I just am such an animal lover that it's sad. So,
it's so much more than just getting there and pulling the trigger. I mean, there's everything that leads up to it.
Yeah, the whole thing is just a great experience.
Me too, Therese. I hunt, have all my life, and there's a difference in what I've always said. A true sportsman, a true hunter, does it for it's a thrill, obviously, but they also feed. Most hunters or real hunters are going to eat what they kill, and I always used to tell people anybody can be a killer, but it takes a different person to be a sportsman or a hunter.
Sure. Well, and
you can go kill all night long, all day long, whenever. I mean, that's the way some of those, people that give hunting a bad name operate. But hunting's a challenge, and I think it's a learning experience. It's something that gives you respect for animals, gives you respect for even people, knowing that, how squeezing the trigger stops a heartbeat. And so I think that equates over into everyday life.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is, we've all, at this point, I'm not scared to talk about therapy. I've been in therapy for a while for PTSD. And one of the things that my therapist told me is, like, go out and just grill a steak. Like, just let that be your experience. And when you do, thank the animal that gave you that food in your head. Just that animal made the sacrifice for you, and kind of revere it as you eat it, as the Native Americans did, as, cultures throughout history have done. And it makes you so much more appreciative of the world around you. And that's the feeling I had when I went hunting.
Yeah, that's, I've heard other people say that, but maybe just never from a friend. So when you hear somebody say that, and that the therapist told them, that's interesting. Because we should be more grateful for that stuff. There ain't no doubt about it. I mean, I got 2 deep freezers full of deer meat, and you tend to forget that something got killed for that. I mean, it's easy to lose perspective of that, especially in the grocery store.
Well, you get fussed at for hunting, but then you see the guy fussed at for hunting sitting at the steakhouse tonight.
Yeah. No, the hypocrisy, right?
Well, I mean, but it's, you get slammed for being a deer hunter or a turkey hunter or whatever it may be, and then you go see that same guy sitting there eating a big old T-bone.
Yeah.
So
a lot like Ashely. I grew up in Jackson, and we never went hunting. I refer to myself as an urbanized redneck. I'm a redneck, but I wasn't from the country. I'm from Jackson, so I never got to go hunting until probably about 4 or 5 years ago when I was working down at Swain, the car dealership on 49. My buddy Bennett Chandler started taking me to deer camp and stuff. Now I'm still Ofer, but it's like Therese said, once you kind of get in there and you do the whole experience and you see everything that goes with it and you get to hang out with your buddies at deer camp or around the fire, it's the whole experience. You don't really have to even get out there and do the hunting necessarily. I can be the grill man back at the house. But it really is something I encourage everybody. And I know, look, WYAB's got a lot of hunting folks. Heck, you can't throw a rock anywhere in Mississippi and not hit 2 deer hunters.
Now, you can't leave just anybody with the grill. I got to leave you with this one, talking about hunting. My uncle, Joe Rigby, one of the guys in deer camp killed a bobcat one morning. They were going on a rabbit hunt that day, and they killed a bobcat coming into the camp. And so he laid the bobcat by the camper. Well, they go rabbit hunting and leave Joe there that morning to cook breakfast. Well, he decides to skin the bobcat and debone the bobcat and ran it through the tenderizer and cooked it with the little deer steaks and biscuits and stuff that he did that morning. He had the bobcat and the deer together, right? So they all come in and they eating. And about halfway through the meal, Joe asked them, how's the bobcat? And they're like, what bobcat? And they said, well, the bobcat y'all killed this morning. We're going to let it waste. He's mixed with this. And they thought he was joking, but he wasn't. And I never will forget them talking about the looks on some of the guys' faces, talking about, we'll never leave Joe in the kitchen again.
It's like it's like Ash's cast iron skillet cooking that bird.
The bad thing is they all said it was pretty good.
Yeah, that's typically how it goes. All right, look, we're going to take our last break, come back, land the plane for the day. You listen to the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB. Into the Clay Edwards Show as we get ready to land this plane for the day. I want to thank everybody for coming in. Therese, didn't get to talk as much today, but we still appreciate your company. You always bring a lot to the table, and thank you for getting up and coming down. Miss Ashely Jones from the Swamp People, Miss Deadeye Ashely Jones, and my good buddy here, Mr. Jimmie D. Nichols, coming on promoting the J.J. Bailey benefit. It's going to be the first week in June of their Lake Washington. And then
June 4th.
But if you can't make it, you want to get one of these raffle tickets, get in on one of these great door prizes, you can also do that. Jimmie will be set up down at the Big Crawfish Bowl at the fairgrounds this weekend. You'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I'll be there Friday and Saturday for sure in the afternoons. I won't be there during the day because I got to work, but I'll be there late afternoon for the concerts that night, both nights. And you can go online, obviously, and get them too if you want to go to PayPal, mssgbenefit@gmail.com is the email address for PayPal. I actually just had a PayPal come through while I was sitting here. So
good deal, man. A ton of great prizes. I bought some tickets myself at the last time I saw Jimmie, so we're excited about it. Ashely, how can people find you online?
I'm on Facebook on Ashely Deadeye Jones, and typically any social media platforms will be Ashely Deadeye Jones.
All right, and Therese, DarkHorsePressNow.com. Jimmie Nichols. Jimmie, can I give your Facebook out?
Sir.
Can I give your Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
It's just Jimmie IE.
Jimmie, yeah.
Jimmie D. Nichols Jr. and all this information is there on his Facebook as well. The podcast will be available here shortly. Go to ClayEdwardsShow.com or anywhere you listen to podcast or music streaming. And I'll be back tomorrow. We got Melanie Sojourner going to join me on the show. We got Mike Madison coming up next, followed by Dana Lesh, and then Jameson Haygood and Kim Wade. See you tomorrow. Peace.
Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow at 7 a.m. as the Clay Edwards Show discusses all that is going on in and around the city of Jackson.
This concludes our broadcast day.
Right here on 103.9 WYAB.